Hey guys, tonight we tumble into golden sand. A warm breeze tugging at your clothes, the scent of old stone and engine oil thick in your nose. You're half dreaming in the passenger seat of a rattling Jeep, somewhere deep in the Egyptian desert. The horizon quivers with heat, distorting the triangle silhouettes of the pyramids into something alive. Breathing, watching, waiting. You crack one eye open just as a sand-colored lizard scuttles past your boot, disappearing under a rock etched with strange ancient lines. And that's when it hits you. You're not just sightseeing. Something has pulled you here. Something older than dynasties, older than the pharaohs, maybe even older than recorded history. And whether it's divine curiosity or total lack of self-preservation, you're going to find out what it is. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know where you're listening from and what time it is in your corner of the world. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You sit up straighter, your back sticking slightly to the cracked leather seat. The Jeep driver, a leathery man with a cigarette that somehow survives the wind, grunts and nods ahead. There, rising like a dream on the beige horizon, is the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's hard to comprehend at first, like trying to make sense of a skyscraper built by ants. You squint through your sunglasses, trying to believe it's real. And yet, something feels off, not wrong, just charged, like the air before a thunderstorm. The Jeep rolls to a stop at a viewpoint, the engine clicking with heat as silence blankets the world. You step out, boots crunching ancient grains of sand that might have once been part of something else. Perhaps a palace, a shipwreck, or a child's toy dropped 4,000 years ago. The sun isn't just shining, it's judging. You run your hand along a guidepost, useless, faded, barely legible. But nearby, buried under a shallow dusting of windblown grit, is something else. A triangle scratched into a stone. No, three triangles, perfectly spaced. It's Orion's belt. The same constellation you've seen on winter nights when you forgot to bring in the trash. The same three stars aligned above your head are here, etched in sandstone. And the pyramids? If you could hover above them, like some ghostly Google Earth drone, they'd match those stars exactly. Like an astral signature left by someone who understood the sky, not just as decoration, but as instruction. Historians still argue whether this stellar alignment was intentional. Some call it coincidence, others a sign of the Egyptians' genius-level stargazing. But as you kneel there, brushing the sand from the carving, it doesn't feel accidental. It feels like a message. You look up, the wind sighs, a hawk screeches overhead, circling something unseen. And then you hear it, a hum, deep, not loud, but bone level. You glance back at the Jeep. The driver's already asleep, head tilted at a 45-degree angle no chiropractor would approve of. You're alone yet not. You step closer to the pyramid's base. It's bigger than you imagined. It's always bigger than anyone imagines. Made from 2.3 million limestone blocks, each weighing several tons, dragged, lifted, positioned with almost maddening precision. If the joints between stones were any tighter, you'd think the thing was 3D printed. And this was built over 4,500 years ago, at least according to mainstream scholars. And yet, here's the kicker. No blueprints have ever been found. No diagrams, no construction notes. Just the thing itself, as if it willed itself into existence and dared you to question how. You circle one edge, passing a tourist signpost coded in graffiti. Dave was here 2017. Noura plus Hamid forever. And find the map. You stop. The font is different. Tighter. Carved, not written. Almost ancient looking itself. You glance around, no one. And then something catches your eye in the crevice of two foundation stones. You reach in, brushing against something that bites your finger. Just a scrape, but enough to draw a bead of blood. Classic you. First 5 minutes already giving a DNA sample to a tomb. Inside, nestled like a dried-up leaf, is a folded scrap of thick papyrus, or something pretending to be papyrus. It's been there a long time. Carefully, you unfold it. Lines, stars, pyramids, a map, but not of Egypt, of the sky. You hold it up, Orion's belt again. 3 dots, one slightly offset, and beneath them, tiny marks, What might be coordinates or maybe instructions? You glance back at the pyramid. It's not just a tomb, it's a key. Mainstream history says these were built as burial sites for Pharaoh Khufu and company. But oddly, no mummy was ever found inside the Great Pyramid. Just an empty stone box in a room called the King's Chamber, perfectly centered and aligned like the beating heart of some ancient machine. Fringe theorists, those delightful weirdos with YouTube channels and neckbeards, say the pyramid wasn't a tomb at all. Maybe it was a power plant, or an interstellar antenna, or, and you're not kidding here, a water-based sound amplifier designed to speak with the Earth itself. Historians still argue whether these ideas are utter nonsense or disturbingly plausible. You tuck the map into your pocket. The hum is louder now. Maybe it's in your head. Maybe not. The sun tilts lower, casting long shadows across the stone. You step away from the pyramid and back toward the Jeep. The driver's awake, squinting at you through a cloud of cigarette smoke. "You found something, huh?" he mutters, like he's said it 1,000 times before. You don't answer, just climb back in. Because tonight, you're going to follow that map. And you probably won't survive this mystery. The Jeep engine rumbles back to life, coughing like it's had too many lifetimes of dust. As you settle into the worn seat, your fingers instinctively press against the folded map in your pocket, like it might vanish if you don't hold on to it. The driver doesn't speak. He just turns the wheel and heads toward the pyramids, the sun beginning its descent behind them. Orange bleeds into lavender across the sky, and shadows stretch like long, silent whispers over the desert. As you approach the complex, something clicks in your brain. You've seen this map before, sort of. Not in person, but on some ancient astronaut documentary with dramatic music and a host who really believed aliens built everything with Wi-Fi from Sirius B. But behind the fringe, there was something real. Something about how the three main pyramids of Giza line up perfectly with the stars of Orion's belt. You pull the map out, smooth the fold. 3 small stars. Then dots spiraling away from them. Underneath is a faint, almost ghostly outline, like an ancient temple or base. The structure on the map doesn't match any Egyptian layout you know. It's not square. It's circular, with corridors. You glance up through the windshield. The pyramids loom closer now. You realize this map isn't just celestial, it's both, sky and earth, a mirror. Mainstream historians will tell you this. The Great Pyramid aligns almost perfectly with true north, like 2 within 3/60ths of a degree. That's better than the Greenwich Observatory managed in the 1800s with telescopes and charts. Yet these guys were allegedly using copper chisels and knotted ropes. Somehow. Sure, the alignment with Orion's belt? That's real too. The smallest pyramid, the one for Pharaoh Menkaure, is slightly offset, just like the smallest star in Orion's belt, Mintaka. The placement isn't just a flex, it's intentional. Some believe it was a kind of star map etched into the earth so the soul of the dead pharaoh could ascend along the Milky Way, the celestial Nile. But then comes the fringe. They whisper that this star map isn't just symbolic, it's directional, a literal guide, that beneath the desert sands aligned with the heavens lies something else, something older, something buried and forgotten. Maybe a network of chambers, maybe a machine, or maybe, just maybe, the resting place of a lost archive, humanity's first instruction manual. The Jeep stops again. This time you're at the base of the Great Pyramid itself. You step out and look up. It's still impossible. You know the numbers. You've read them a dozen times. The base is over 750 feet per side. The height was once 481 feet before erosion and treasure hunters shaved it down a little. If you placed it in New York, it'd rival the skyline. But here in the middle of the desert, it feels more massive because there's nothing else to compete. You walk toward the pyramid's northern face, where the original entrance lies, several meters above ground level. There's a modern tourist tunnel now, but your eyes aren't on that. They're on the stars, now just beginning to blink into view in the fading twilight. You line up the map again. 3 dots, 3 pyramids. But then your eyes drift. There's another tiny cluster on the map, far off to the side. Sirius, maybe? Or the Pleiades? It's hard to say, but then you notice something else. Angles, lines connecting the stars and pyramids, Like the kind of geometry you only see in sci-fi blueprints or very determined conspiracy forums. You remember something fringe theorists obsess over: Earth precession. See, over thousands of years, the position of the stars slowly shifts due to the wobble of the Earth. It's like a cosmic hula hoop dance. Very slow and very nerdy. If the pyramids were aligned with Orion's belt at a certain date, you can calculate exactly when that alignment would have been perfect. Some researchers, outliers, sure, claim that the perfect alignment wasn't in 2500 BCE, when Khufu allegedly built the Great Pyramid, but thousands of years earlier, around 10,500 BCE. Historians still argue whether this theory is plausible or just romantic math. But here's the thing. If that date were true, it would mean the pyramid builders were working during the last ice age. That's pre-farming, pre-wheel, pre-everything. The only thing people were supposedly doing then was not dying of exposure. And yet, there it is, the alignment fits too well. You step closer to the pyramid. A breeze kicks up, rustling your map. It tugs at the corners, almost like it's trying to show you something. You crouch down and notice, between the great stone blocks, a hair-thin crack leading deeper into the foundation. You shine your flashlight inside. Darkness, endless and absolute. Tourists don't go that way, your driver says behind you, voice hoarse. Not unless they want to meet their ancestors. You laugh nervously. He doesn't. You pocket the map again and circle around the base, letting your fingers brush the smoothness of the casing stones that still survive near the base. Once, the entire pyramid was encased in brilliant white Tura limestone that gleamed in the sun, so bright it was called the Shining Pyramid, a beacon visible for miles. Now most of that casing has been stripped or weathered away, but you can still see pieces of it here and there, stubborn and ageless. And just when you're starting to wonder whether all this is just a really elaborate prank by history itself, your foot hits something solid. You crouch. Another stone, this one etched with a spiral. Not Egyptian, at least not the style you're used to. It's more megalithic. You've seen similar markings at Newgrange in Ireland, or on the stone balls of Costa Rica. Cultures, continents, and millennia apart. So how did it get here? You press your palm against the spiral. The stone is warm. Not from the sun, it's too late for that, but warm like something alive, something remembering. You step back, heart ticking faster now. Night is fully draped over the desert. The stars above shine brighter in the absence of light pollution, and Orion is there, almost smug, like he knows you're just beginning to piece it all together. You glance again at the map. If the pyramids are markers, what are they pointing to? And what happens when you finally reach the place they're guiding you toward? Whatever it is, you feel it now. You're not just following a road through the desert. You're unraveling a cosmic breadcrumb trail left not for your eyes, but for your awakening. The next morning starts with sand in your socks, sun on your forehead, and a sneaking suspicion that your dreams were only half fiction. You rise early, drawn back to the base of the pyramid like a moth that hasn't yet learned its lesson. The desert is quiet, just you, a few camels groaning somewhere in the distance, and the weight of 4,500 years or more, pressing down from above. You run your fingers along the stones again. The blocks are so precisely cut and fitted that not even a credit card can slide between them. That's not metaphor, it's real. Modern engineers, bless their GPS and laser levels, would struggle to replicate it today, even with cranes and CAD software. But the ancient builders, they had ropes, allegedly. Which brings you to a name you've heard a dozen times already, Imhotep. Now don't get distracted by Hollywood. No face-eating plagues or scarabs here. Well, maybe a few scarabs. The historical Imhotep was said to be an architect, high priest, physician, and generally the MVP of the Third Dynasty. He supposedly designed the step pyramid at Saqqara for Pharaoh Djoser, a real Renaissance man, long before the Renaissance. But here's the odd part. No contemporary records of Imhotep exist, not one document from his own time. His legend appears centuries later in the scribbles of later dynasties. Some scholars whisper, quietly so no one revokes their tenure, that he might not have been a real person at all, just a mythological compilation, or worse, a memory of someone or something else entirely. Historians still argue whether Imhotep was an actual historical figure or a posthumous invention. His name means He who comes in peace, which sounds suspiciously alien if you're in that kind of mood. You wander toward the western face of the pyramid now, sun climbing higher, turning everything to gold. You stop at a shaded patch between massive stones where a lone bee hovers, confused and far from flowers. The hum in the air is back, barely perceptible, but definitely not your imagination. It's like the pyramid is breathing, faint, measured, intentional. It's here that you notice something you shouldn't. Carved faintly on a stone slightly smaller than the others, an anomaly in itself, is a set of overlapping symbols. Not hieroglyphs, not any script you know. More like schematic lines, a circuit diagram maybe, or a blueprint. You trace them with your fingertip, feeling the patterns groove against your skin. They don't look like graffiti, they look embedded. And then you remember a fringe theory, one that floats around in the weirder corners of pyramid lore. The pyramid was a machine. Not metaphorically, literally. A hypothesis suggests the Great Pyramid was never a tomb, but a power generator. One version says it used water and resonance to create a kind of energy field. The granite in the king's chamber? Full of quartz, piezoelectric, which means when pressure or vibration is applied, it can generate electricity. That humming you feel? Maybe it's not mystical. Maybe it's the ghost of a long-dormant system. But where would Imhotep come in? Some believe he, or the figure he's based on, wasn't just a smart guy. He might have been the one who understood the machine, who remembered its purpose, or even, if your dreams are right, who designed it, using knowledge from a time before ours. You sit on a warm stone, the hum pulsing gently under you like a distant drumbeat. Nearby, a tour group laughs, the guide waving a laminated placard with pyramids and happy stick figure pharaohs. You resist the urge to run up and ask if anyone else hears the pyramid vibrating like a sleepy best speaker. Instead, you pull the map out again. This time you notice something odd, a tiny triangle etched near the schematic-looking symbols. It's not aligned with the pyramids. It sits off to the west in a blank space on the parchment. You dig out your phone and pull up satellite imagery of Giza, zoom out, match landmarks, and there it is, a flat area, no major structures, not even tourist footpaths, just desert, but the coordinates match. You decide to go. By foot, smart, not especially, adventurous, oh yes. You trudge westward, away from the pyramid's shadow. The sand shifts under you, each step a soft struggle. The sun roasts your shoulders, and sweat starts to cling in unpleasant places. As you hike, you think back to the Sphinx. You passed it earlier, a monumental face with eroded eyes and a riddle no one solved. Some fringe researchers say Imhotep didn't just design the step pyramid. They say he preserved something even older. They say he found it, protected it, hid the true blueprints of human history in codes we're only just starting to notice. Like that spiral symbol from yesterday, or the strange circuit lines carved into stone today. And maybe, just maybe, this map you hold wasn't drawn. It was remembered. A hawk circles above again, same as yesterday, or maybe a different one. Maybe they're on shifts. It calls out once, sharp, echoing. You glance up just as a dust devil spins off to your left, stirring a few meters of loose sand into a swirling column. You reach the triangle on the map, and here there's nothing but dune and flatness. No stone, no ruins, no markers, until you kneel and find a rectangular slab barely peeking through the sand. Man-made. A hatch? A capstone? You brush the sand away, hands shaking now, half from exertion, half from the rising electricity crawling along your skin. There's a metal edge, bronze maybe, etched with the same overlapping lines you saw earlier. The slab shifts under pressure, not like a trapdoor, but like a panel designed to open, if you knew how. You whisper Imhotep's name, though you're not sure why. Maybe it's a password, or a prayer. The panel stays shut, but now you know. Imhotep, real or not, left you a key, and this buried slab in the middle of nowhere might just be the lock. You stare at the slab for a long moment, heart ticking like a faulty metronome. There's no obvious handle, no hinges, just that smooth bronze edge and a design that feels far too deliberate for an accident. You try pressing along its perimeter. Nothing. Then you try pushing the center, palms flat. A deep, grinding sound answers, not from the slab, but from somewhere below it. And then silence. You blink. Did you imagine it? You crouch, pressing your ear to the hot metal. A breeze hums over the sand, but beneath it, you swear you hear it again. A thunk, a shifting of stone, as if some mechanism, long dormant, is waking up slowly, clearing its throat after millennia of silence. You scramble back, suddenly unsure whether you're supposed to be here, whether you've just triggered an ancient alarm system, or worse, a trapdoor to a pyramid-themed afterlife. Then the slab moves. Barely, just a breath, but enough for sand to begin sliding off its edge. You lean forward and dig your fingers into the loosened grains, scooping wildly. A small crack reveals itself, forming a thin seam in the panel's surface. You peer into it. Just darkness and a faint musty whiff of ancient air. And then a flicker. Movement? You pull back fast. But it's just dust, probably. And yet something in your stomach lurches. Not fear, not quite. More like anticipation. You reach again and pry the slab just a little more. A hiss escapes as if the desert itself is exhaling. And that's when you see it. Stairs. Carved from limestone. Smooth from age. Descending into a shaft angled steeply downward. You glance around. There's still no one. No camels, no tourists, not even your Jeep driver, who probably thought you were already devoured by ancient curses or sandworms. You shine your flashlight into the tunnel. The beam vanishes into the dark before hitting a wall. You take a breath and step in. The temperature drops immediately. The searing desert air is replaced by something damp and chilled, like the inside of a crypt. Each footfall sends soft echoes along the tunnel, which bends gently left and right, almost like a natural cave. Except it's not natural, not even close. The walls are smooth, polished. There are grooves in the rock that resemble tool marks, but nothing copper could have done. These look machined. And here's the twist. No chisel marks. Not the ones you'd expect from the era of Khufu. Not even what you saw inside the Great Pyramid yesterday. Historians still argue whether certain ancient tunnels, especially the ones under Giza, could have been made with tools we've never found. Or, depending on who you ask, tools we've forgotten. You descend slowly, the air growing colder with every step. Then suddenly the stairs end. You find yourself in a chamber, roughly circular, 20 feet across. The walls glint faintly under your flashlight. Not gold, something else. Mica, maybe. Crystalline. And at the center of the room, a raised platform. You approach it cautiously. The platform is flat, waist-high, and etched with concentric circles, geometric patterns, and something that looks eerily like a map. Another one. You pull your own map from your pocket and hold it beside the design. It matches. Not exactly, but close enough to confirm this was meant to be found, meant to be decoded. You run your fingers across a few of the lines. They're warm to the touch. No, hot. You flinch. Something here is active or awakening. Then out of nowhere, a click. The platform shudders slightly and begins to lower. Dust sifts from the ceiling. You leap back, half expecting it to collapse, but the motion is smooth. Hydraulic almost. From beneath the descending slab, a soft light glows. Faint and amber, like candlelight without a flame. You step forward as the platform finishes its retreat into the floor. And there it is, a tunnel. Not a crawl space, not a pharaoh-sized shaft. This is wide, tall, smooth, designed for movement, for purpose. And every 10 feet, glowing stones embedded in the walls hum softly, casting enough light to see, but not enough to feel safe. You enter, and here's where things go from weird to unexplainable. Etched along the walls are symbols, not hieroglyphs. Something far older. Spirals, triangles, waves. Mathematically precise symbols that seem to shimmer slightly, depending on where you stand. You pass a small alcove. Inside is a basin, dry now but shaped like it once held water. Or maybe mercury. You recall a strange detail. In the ancient Chinese pyramid tomb of the first emperor, legend claims rivers of mercury were used to simulate the landscape of the empire. Historians still argue whether this is just poetic myth, but tests have shown elevated mercury levels around the site. Maybe it's not a coincidence. Maybe civilizations knew things they weren't supposed to share. You walk on, the air feels charged now, like the moments before lightning strikes. Then up ahead, the tunnel opens into a vast underground chamber. So vast, your flashlight beam can't find the other end. And in the center, silhouetted against a faint amber glow, is a structure. Not a temple, not a tomb. A machine. You freeze. It rises nearly 3 stories tall, shaped like an inverted ziggurat, each level stacked inward, glinting with inlaid metal. Pipes, yes, actual pipes, run along its base and disappear into the stone floor. And above, suspended somehow without any visible support, hovers a massive sphere. It's made of polished black stone. Obsidian? No, it's too perfect. It doesn't reflect. It absorbs light. You step closer, trying not to make a sound, though you're clearly long past that point. The machine is silent, waiting. And here, carved into a pedestal beside it, is a name. Or rather, a word. You squint. Imhotep. This wasn't just his monument. It might have been his creation. You stand there, mouth dry, heart thudding like a ceremonial drum beat from somewhere far, far away. The name Imhotep is etched into the pedestal not as a dedication, but like a signature. The machine in front of you hums faintly, like it's powered by thought or memory or maybe just your growing disbelief. You walk around the device slowly, eyes catching every detail. The surface of the base, though crusted with age, is still faintly reflective. Embedded copper lines form graceful arcs across dark stone panels, some curling in fractal patterns that seem to pulse if you stare too long. The entire thing resembles an enormous harmonic amplifier more than anything else. And at the center of it all, that perfect obsidian sphere, suspended, unmoving, and unnervingly silent. This isn't just archaeology. This feels like reverse engineering. Mainstream archaeologists would scoff, of course. They'd tell you, correctly, that the Great Pyramid has no hieroglyphs inside its core structure, that no mummies were ever found in the king's chamber, that it lacks the typical funerary text you'd expect in a pharaonic tomb. It's more mechanical than memorial, more deliberate than decorative. And right here, beneath the desert floor, is your smoking gun. You crouch beside one of the copper conduits. It disappears deep into the stone floor, sealed perfectly. Your fingers graze a circular plate near its base, cool with concentric rings not unlike a speaker cone. You touch it gently, and it vibrates. Not randomly, rhythmically, almost like a pulse, a beat, a pattern. You dig into your backpack and pull out a small notebook, half journal, half impulse buy. You start scribbling the vibration intervals, 10 seconds apart, 3 pulses, then pause, then 5 rapid, then silence, and repeat. A message? You look around for a terminal, a panel, even a dumb old hieroglyph telling you what to press. But no, the machine offers no guidance, just presence. You take a cautious step forward toward the obsidian sphere. It's at eye level now, floating in midair like it missed the memo on gravity. You reach out. Bad idea? Probably. But what's one more reckless decision? Your fingertips brush the surface, and for a moment it feels like warm stone, then cold, then stone again. You blink, and you're somewhere else. You're still standing, but the chamber is gone, or invisible. In its place, stars, endless stars. All around you, constellations spiral in motion, some you recognize, others not from any human sky. In front of you, 3 pyramids, shining, glowing, floating above an endless void. They rotate gently, perfectly aligned with 3 blinking stars, Orion's belt. As above, so below. A voice speaks, not in sound but directly in your mind. Calm, rhythmic. The map is not the destination. You blink again, and you're back. The obsidian sphere is cool and silent under your hand. Your legs tremble slightly. Okay, so that happened. You step back, breathing shallow and fast, trying not to spiral. Your inner monologue is screaming, but the hum of the machine seems to suppress the panic. Like it's telling you, you're okay, keep going. You glance back at the map, still folded in your pocket. You unfold it again and hold it beside the sphere. Suddenly, a faint light pulses on the base of the machine. Not bright, just a soft ripple of illumination crawling outward from the pedestal bearing Imhotep's name. You step to the left, the light follows. You step to the right, again it tracks you. This isn't just a machine, it's interactive. Your hands tremble, but you extend your right palm toward the pedestal. The copper lines shimmer under your skin's reflection, and you realize something else. The pattern on the panel, those spirals, triangles, and geometric channels, they're not just decorative, they're mathematical. You reach into your pack again and pull out your phone. Battery hanging by a thread, but enough to scan. You take a picture of the panel and run it through a basic geometry app. Fatinum, fa. The golden ratio, again and again. That sacred math that shows up in everything from Nautilus shells to Beethoven's Fifth. And apparently, ancient desert machines built before steel was a glimmer in humanity's eye. Historians still argue whether the ancient Egyptians truly understood the golden ratio as we do today. There's evidence in architecture, art, even the proportions of sarcophagi, but no surviving mathematical texts to prove they had the formula. Some say it's a coincidence. Others say it's cosmic design. Fringe theorists? They don't ask if the Egyptians discovered these ratios. They ask who gave it to them. You circle the machine again, this time noticing something near the floor. A rectangular recess, possibly a hatch. You kneel, shining your light into it. There's something inside. A tablet, stone but smooth, carved with the same spirals. You pull it out gently, brushing dust off its surface. There are 7 small dots in a circle on one side, like planets in orbit, and on the other, a 3-dimensional relief of the pyramid's interior. But it's wrong or different. There are extra chambers, tunnels that don't exist, at least not on any blueprint you've seen. One chamber sits directly beneath the king's chamber, not marked on any maps. No archaeological team has ever claimed to find it, but here it is, etched in stone, as if it were a given. You snap a photo, your mind races. Is this an instruction manual? A memory chip made of stone? Or just really elaborate graffiti from someone with excellent chisels and too much time? You don't know. But suddenly you do know where you're going next. Back to the surface. Back to the pyramid. Because if that chamber really exists, and it's exactly where this tablet says it is, then this whole thing, Imhotep, the map, the machine, it's not just history. It's a system. And you've just become a user. The sun greets you like a slap. After hours underground, its glare feels personal, like the sky itself is squinting at you. You emerge from the shaft, hands coated in centuries of dust, heart pounding in a strange rhythm that might not entirely be yours anymore. You replace the stone slab with a gentle shove and let the sand veil it once more, just enough to hide it, but not so well that it can't be found again. The desert stretches out around you in all directions, but your eyes lock immediately onto the Great Pyramid, dominating the skyline like the world's oldest middle finger to entropy. You're not done here. You dust off, reorient, and start walking. Halfway back, a thought returns, nagging like sand in your boot. What cut those stones? The pyramid, after all, isn't just a big pile of rocks. It's a masterclass in megalithic arrogance. Each block averages 2 to 15 tons. Some weigh up to 80, and many are fitted so precisely you couldn't wedge a sheet of paper between them. These joints aren't sloppy or random. They're polished, precise, and in some cases curved, which is bizarre. Historians will tell you the ancient Egyptians used copper tools, dolerite pounding stones, and a lot of manpower. And it's true. They had no iron tools. But there's a catch. Copper is soft. Try carving granite with it. You'll be lucky if you make a dent before the chisel folds in on itself like warm chocolate. Yet here we are, standing before a structure of such mind-bending precision that modern engineers have scratched their heads bald trying to replicate it. You reach the pyramid's base and run your hand along one of the limestone casing stones still clinging to the bottom layer. Smooth as marble. Then you spot it, just like before, subtle tool marks. But these aren't scratchy, jagged lines. They're clean, smooth, arcing in uniform curves like the blade of some high-frequency cutting tool made a pass and left a signature. You lean closer, squinting. Not chisel, not hammer, not even bronze saw. You remember a fringe idea you read once. Likely in the kind of book that gets alphabetized under crackpot, but filed under maybe in your brain. It claimed the Egyptians may have used a now-lost type of ultrasonic cutting tool. Imagine sound waves tuned to resonate granite molecules into compliance. Completely speculative, of course. Historians still argue whether such marks are just misunderstood erosion or evidence of techniques we haven't rediscovered. The official story prefers the pounding stones, but that doesn't explain the curved cuts or the near-polished faces. You keep walking. You pass a block that's been cleaved almost perfectly diagonally, sharp as a sliced cake. Another has a channel in it, like it was poured into a mold, not chiseled. You glance around to see if anyone else notices. They don't. Most are focused on taking selfies, trying not to sweat through their linen. That's okay. This part's for you. Then you remember something from the tablet you found underground. A secondary chamber, tucked under the king's chamber. You pull up a basic layout of the pyramid on your phone and overlay the sketch. The chamber should be here, right under your feet, just a few meters offset. You crouch, brush away sand from a cluster of foundation stones, and bingo. There it is. A hairline seam in the stone, far too straight to be natural. No sign, no warning. No red velvet rope or guide in khakis yelling at you to stay on the path. Just stone and the soft murmur of the wind. You kneel, press your ear to the ground, and hear the hum again. Not imagination, not this time. It's mechanical, rhythmic, steady. You tap the stone, just once. It echoes twice. Hollow. You leap back like you've just discovered your bedroom floor is made of jello. Then you hear another sound, a voice distant and muffled. It's not speaking a language you know. Maybe not a language at all. Just tones, notes, sung not spoken. You freeze, listen. Then it stops. The hair on your arms rises. You pull the stone map tablet from your pack again. Run your thumb along the carved chamber. It's not labeled, but it's connected. You trace a line from the king's chamber down into the secret one. It curves like a sound channel. Or a resonance tunnel. That's when it clicks. The pyramid isn't just a tomb. It's acoustic. Researchers have long noted the peculiar acoustics of the king's chamber. Clap, and the echo bounces oddly. And you get standing waves. The room amplifies sound, filters it. Some frequencies resonate more than others, specifically around 430 Hz, the so-called divine frequency. Historians still argue whether the room's acoustic properties are intentional or just a happy accident of stone and space. But here's a thing most people don't know. Sound can move objects, not metaphorically, literally. Cymatics, the science of visible sound, proves that frequency can shape matter. Sand on a plate dances into complex patterns when vibrated. It's not sci-fi, it's physics. What if, stay with me, the pyramid was designed to resonate? Not just inside, but with the earth itself? You think back to that obsidian sphere underground, the hum, the pulse, and how it mirrored your heartbeat like an echo from below. Could the pyramid be part of that machine? Could it be the speaker? You look up at the massive stones stacked with alien precision. If sound could move these, vibrate them just right, then lifting and aligning them suddenly doesn't seem so impossible. You step back dazed. The pyramid isn't dead. It's sleeping, waiting for a signal. And beneath your feet, under a stone that no one's noticed for decades, or perhaps no one's meant to notice, is a passage to the truth. You kneel once more, this time not to listen, but to open. You run your fingertips along the seam in the stone. It's faint, but undeniably there, straight, deliberate, and completely out of place among the rest of the pyramid's aging foundation. You dig into your bag and pull out a multi-tool, which you originally packed for cutting fruit, not unlocking millennia-old mysteries. But hey, improvise. You wedge the flat edge into the crack, twist gently. Nothing. Then you lean your weight on it, giving a firm but respectful push, because you are technically violating something ancient, possibly sacred, and probably not covered by your travel insurance. With a soft pop, almost polite, the slab shifts, just a few millimeters. Enough for dust to billow outward, dry and bitter. You step back, coughing, and then it slides further, revealing a narrow shaft. You shine your flashlight down. Unlike the polished interior of the earlier tunnel, this is raw, ancient, not finished, preserved. The walls look natural at first glance, but your eyes catch it. Tool marks, not from a chisel, not even modern machinery. These are deep, rounded gouges, like something spiraled its way downward, or someone. You ease yourself into the shaft, boots scraping softly against the stone. The air grows instantly cooler, not like the other chamber beneath the slab. This is colder, older, the kind of cold that carries memory. After several feet of tight descent, the tunnel opens into a low chamber. You can't stand here. You crouch, knees aching. Your flashlight dances over the walls. They're bare, except for one thing, the spiral, carved into every surface, repeating, spirals within spirals, some simple, others incredibly complex, almost fractal. No pharaohs, no gods, just pattern. And in the center of the floor, a hole, small, circular, perfect. You shine the light down it, more shaft, a long way down, possibly forever, but your ears hear something faint, dripping. Water? In the middle of the desert? Historians still argue whether the pyramids ever had plumbing-like features, but traces of ancient water damage in lower shafts have been confirmed. One theory suggests the Great Pyramid may have used water hydraulics for some unknown function. Others propose underground chambers filled with liquid mercury, echoing similar theories from Mesoamerican pyramids. You lower a pebble into the shaft, it falls and falls, then plinks. Water, definitely. You take a breath. Then a second. Then you go in. The shaft is narrow, just wide enough to allow descent. You use small footholds carved into the walls, following a spiral path downward. As you descend, the stone becomes smoother. The air grows thicker, and the hum returns, deep, vibrating faintly in your bones. Then you see it, the bottom chamber. It glows faintly, not from artificial light, but from phosphorescent minerals embedded in the walls. The chamber is round, domed, and filled with water, or some liquid, dark, reflective. Still, you squat by the edge and dip your fingers in. It's not cold, it's warm, slick, almost oily. You don't drink it. You've read enough cautionary tales. But on the far wall, etched just above the waterline, is a map. Not of Egypt, not the stars. It's a blueprint of the pyramid itself. But it's not just one pyramid, it's a network. Tunnels, chambers, nodes that span beneath Giza like a hidden vascular system. And in the center, beneath the Great Pyramid, is a massive circular structure labeled only with the spiral symbol again. You stare, tracing the lines. And that's when it hits you. This structure, this chamber, this system beneath the surface, it's older. Not just older than Khufu, older than Egypt. You remember the granite boxes at Serapeum, massive unmarked sarcophagi made of solid stone, polished inside and out, slid into place within impossibly narrow tunnels. Mainstream history suggests they were for sacred bulls. Fringe theories say otherwise, that they were power containment units, or vibrational capacitors, or something even wilder, hibernation chambers. You stare into the liquid again. The surface is too smooth, too calm, and then something moves beneath it. You don't scream, you inhale sharply. But the surface stills again. Whatever it was, it's gone now. You back away inch by inch until your spine touches the far wall. And then you notice something else. A carved stone block, half submerged. You wade in cautiously and brush away the algae-like film covering its face. It's a name, not Imhotep, not Khufu. A word you don't recognize. But it's not Egyptian. It's cuneiform. Sumerian. You blink. Sumer was 1,000 miles away, 1,000 years earlier. And yet, here it is. A signature. Or maybe a collaboration? You stagger back. Historians still argue whether ancient civilizations were completely isolated. The consensus says yes. Travel and communication were limited, making transcontinental connections unlikely. But artifacts have a way of mocking that assumption. Like Egyptian mummies containing nicotine and cocaine, plants native to the Americas, or megalithic stonework in Peru that mirrors techniques found in Egypt, Turkey, and Japan. You look at the cuneiform again, etched beside the spiral, not as an afterthought, as a part of the design. And a thought worms into your mind. What if Egypt wasn't the start? What if it was the last chapter of something older? What if the pyramids are remnants, not achievements? Markers of knowledge passed down like genetic code, not through DNA, but through stone. You're shaking now. The water glows gently behind you. The air hums. The spiral symbol repeats in your head like a mantra you never learn. And somewhere far above you, a pyramid waits. Still, silent, listening. You climb back toward daylight, lungs heaving against the rising heat of the shaft. As you emerge, your clothes cling with sweat and that slick dampness from the underground pool. The desert breeze hits your face like a balm, dry, hot, but cleansing. You blink into the brightness, rejoining the modern world just a few dozen feet from where you temporarily slipped into something that didn't feel like history. It felt like memory. You wipe your hands and glance around. Still no tourists in sight. The pyramid stands indifferent, the Sphinx watching from afar, and somewhere nearby, your driver is probably chain-smoking while listening to ancient radio. You sit on a low stone, heart rate slowly settling. You take out the stone map again and turn it over, staring at the engraved spiral and strange hybrid symbols. Hieroglyphs, yes, but mixed with what you now know is Sumerian. And one more thing, lines of script you don't recognize, not pictographs, not letters. They almost look digital. Your fingers trace them, and you remember something else from your wanderings inside the pyramid yesterday. Hieroglyphs that shouldn't be there. You haul yourself up, legs stiff, and make your way around the pyramid's base again, toward a far side entrance. This one is fenced off, allegedly for preservation. But the sand has conveniently drifted up against part of the barrier, and with a little effort and a quiet apology to future museum curators, you find a way through. Inside, the temperature drops again. Your flashlight flickers to life and sweeps across smooth limestone walls. The chamber you enter is empty. At least it should be. There are no artifacts here, no carvings, just bare walls. Except for one, a low panel, barely knee-height. You crouch down, and there it is. Hieroglyphs, yes, but rough, like they were added long after the pyramid's completion. Scratched in haste, or secrecy. One symbol jumps out. A figure kneeling beneath a starburst, hands raised. A comet? A solar flare? Who knows? But the rest of the symbols? They're not in any standard translation chart. Some look inverted. Others are mirrored. And a few, not even the most seasoned Egyptologist would recognize them. Historians still argue whether such graffiti is authentic or a later hoax by tomb raiders or overzealous explorers. But this one, it's old. The stone around the cuts has softened with age. And you know what you're looking at now. Encryption. A few years back, a fringe researcher named Khalid Darrow went viral with a theory that some Egyptian hieroglyphs were dual-layered. He believed they had a cover meaning, one you'd recognize with the Rosetta Stone, and a core meaning, only visible through mirrored glyphs and phonetic reversals. He was laughed off most academic stages. But this wall proves him right. You run your fingers over the reversed eye of Horus, then the mirrored scarab. Together they read something like Rebirth Beyond. The next cluster seems to say, Return to Field of Stars. You pause. Field of Stars, you've heard that before. Not in Egypt. In Mesoamerican myths, specifically the Mayan belief in a celestial field where the souls of the dead returned. Literally a field of stars. You start to connect threads no one else dares touch. Pyramids in Egypt. Pyramids in Mexico. Pyramids in China. All aligned to stars. All built with shocking precision. All tied to a death and rebirth cosmology rooted in the sky. And now the graffiti in this forgotten chamber confirms what your gut has been screaming since you stepped off that Jeep. These weren't isolated monuments. They were part of a network, a global one. You reach into your bag, pull out your notebook, and begin sketching the wall. You copy each glyph meticulously. Then as you finish the last line, something catches your eye. A glyph within the glyph. An embedded shape. A triangle within the scarab's shell. You press your palm against it. Nothing happens. But then your fingers detect something under the stone. A tiny depression, almost like a sensor. You press again. A soft click. And a panel in the wall slides open, revealing not a tunnel this time, but a recess. Inside, wrapped in oilcloth brittle with age, is a tablet. This one's different. It's metal. You gingerly pull it out, unwrapping layers until the smooth silver surface reflects your dusty face. The tablet is covered in inscriptions, some familiar, some utterly alien. And in the center, a geometric design you've seen before. The obsidian sphere. You sit back, stunned. This is a manual, not for the pyramid, for the machine beneath it. You tilt the tablet. Light catches its surface and highlights several channels, almost like embedded circuits. You trace one and it glows faintly under your touch, like fiber optics woke from a long slumber. Then something even stranger happens. A portion of the text shifts color and translates. Not all of it, just 3 words. Awaken with frequency. You stare at it. That hum you've been feeling, it wasn't random. It's a signal, a tone, a frequency. You remember the vibration pattern from the underground chamber. The pulses, the silences. You flip back through your notebook, finding the sketch you made. They match. The machine wants to be activated. And you have the key. You back away slowly from the wall, carefully replacing the panel as you go. Outside, the wind picks up, sending flurries of dust across the limestone plain. You step into the sun and look up at the pyramid. It's not just stone, it's code. And you're not deciphering history anymore. You're interfacing with it. The wind whispers across the plateau as you stare up at the limestone face of the pyramid. It doesn't blink, doesn't breathe, but you can feel it watching, observing, like it's been waiting, impossibly patient, for someone to read its operating instructions instead of just admiring its symmetry. You grip the metal tablet tightly, fingers slick with a mix of sweat and excitement. Awaken with frequency. That phrase burns in your mind, looping like a chant. You feel like you've passed through a filter. Where tourists see tombs, you now see schematics. Where historians see burial chambers, you now see circuits. And then the sunlight shifts. A breeze carries a gust of cooler air up from the desert floor. It smells different, wetter, richer, not just dust anymore. You turn and freeze. There, carved low into a block near the base of the pyramid, is a line you've never noticed before. It's not decorative, it's erosion. But the kind of erosion that shouldn't be here. Deep channels run vertically along the stone. Not the soft abrasion of wind, not the careless wear of human traffic. These cuts are rounded, smooth, flowing, as though carved by water, which is completely insane. You kneel, running your hand over the grooves. The stone is scalloped like canyon walls after centuries of river surge. And this block isn't alone. Other stones nearby show the same pattern. You get up and walk slowly, tracing the curve of the base. And there it is again. And again. Water erosion. Historians still argue whether this is real. Some say it's just centuries of rain. Others, like geologist Robert Schoch, claim these patterns suggest water exposure far more intense and much earlier than Egypt's accepted timeline allows. In fact, if the Sphinx and the pyramids were exposed to this kind of erosion, they would have to date back to around 10,500 BCE, a time when the Sahara was a lush savanna, not the arid expanse you're currently sweating through. The implication? The Sphinx, and possibly even the pyramids themselves, existed during a time of heavy rainfall, meaning they predate not just Khufu, but all known Egyptian dynasties. You glance toward the Sphinx, squinting through the heat shimmer. It's still there, half sunken, its face worn by time or possibly repurposed by rulers wanting to make it theirs. But now that you're looking, really looking, it feels out of place, too eroded, too ancient, like a fossilized memory from a world that's been overwritten. You remember that fringe theory you read in a late-night rabbit hole. The Sphinx originally had a lion's head, or maybe even the face of Anubis, that the current human visage was a recarve, scaled down from something far older, and that beneath the paw, far beneath it, lies the true treasure of ancient Egypt. The Hall of Records, supposedly a chamber that contains the wisdom of a lost civilization, maybe Atlantis, maybe something even more ancient. Drawings, maps, and documents that tell the true story of humanity, of where we came from, and maybe even where we're supposed to go. And here's the kicker. Modern scans using ground-penetrating radar have detected anomalies beneath the Sphinx. Chambers, voids, empty spaces that mainstream Egyptology has chosen to leave unexplored. Too political, too fringe, too dangerous to the narrative. But you don't have tenure to worry about. You check your map. Not the tourist one, the real one. The one that led you to the underground chamber, the obsidian sphere, and now to a small glyph at the Sphinx's flank. It's faint, but unmistakable. A spiral again. You head toward it, hiking through soft sand as camel droppings dot your path like ancient punctuation. The Sphinx grows as you approach, its body long, cat-like, weathered by centuries of wind and apparently water. You reach the rear right paw, where tourists aren't allowed, where archaeologists rarely tread. The sun dips lower. You crouch by a stone slab nestled near the base, and there it is, a circular seal, part stone, part metal, almost like a plug in the rock. Around the edge are more of those impossible inscriptions, neither Egyptian nor Sumerian, but something abstract, composed of nested shapes and harmonic lines. You place your palm on the seal. Nothing. Then you press the metal tablet you found against it. It vibrates. Not a buzz, a tone. Deep, low, musical. And suddenly the seal turns. Stone grinds against stone. A breath of cold air escapes from the seams. Dust flutters in your face. Another passageway. You glance over your shoulder. Still no one watching. Just you, the Sphinx, and the strange sense that you're following in footprints long since buried. You step inside. This tunnel is different. It doesn't slope downward like the previous ones. It spirals, not just physically, but visually. The stone is carved in a continuous swirl, like being inside a seashell. The walls shimmer faintly with embedded crystal. Every step you take echoes with a harmonic note, subtle but unmistakable. You feel lighter here, as though the very air is charged with something ancient, vibrational, alive. Then you reach the bottom, a door. No handle, just a circle, a smooth indentation. You place your hand inside it, and with a hiss, the stone withdraws. The room beyond is circular, domed, walls lined with smooth tiles, none of which are decorated, except the floor. A massive mosaic. Made of colored stones, it depicts Earth, not from the ground, but from space. A blue sphere framed by stars surrounded by orbiting symbols, pyramids, ziggurats, and spiral galaxies. In the center of it all, the Sphinx. Its body extended across the globe, paws stretching into distant lands like a metaphor, or perhaps a literal record, of influence and connection. And at its chest, an open book. You kneel at the center. The book isn't real, of course, just part of the mosaic. But as you reach out to touch it, the tiles sink slightly. A click, then a second, and then rising slowly from the floor in front of you, a pedestal with a glowing sphere. Not black like the one beneath the pyramid. This one is blue. It pulses gently with a rhythm that feels familiar. It matches the hum, the tones, the pattern you recorded. You hold out the metal tablet. The sphere pulses once, then again. And suddenly lines of light burst across the chamber walls. Maps, diagrams, star charts, and a sentence etched in light, slowly translating before your eyes. The cycle returns. The gate awaits. You stand still, barely breathing, as that glowing blue sphere hums steadily in the pedestal, the chamber walls now alive with radiant inscriptions that weren't there seconds ago. The light pulses aren't just beautiful, they're methodical, communicative. You feel like you're inside a neural interface, like the room is thinking, or worse, listening. Your eyes scan the projections on the walls. Star charts flicker into view, constellations shifting like they're in motion, real time. Then planetary alignments scroll into focus. Not just the present sky, but previous epochs. Thousands of years of celestial cycles unravel like a cosmic calendar. You recognize Orion's belt immediately. Its three stars, Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka, drifting slowly out of their modern configuration as the images rewind through time. The Great Pyramids fade in next to them, aligning perfectly around 10,500 BCE. That year again. Historians still argue whether this alignment was mere coincidence or the result of sophisticated ancient astronomy. Most textbooks say the ancient Egyptians lacked the math, instruments, and even the need to track stars so precisely. And yet here it is, in light and sound, preserved below the Sphinx like a celestial receipt. You take a slow step forward, watching the projections adjust with your movement. As your shadow crosses one cluster of stars, a panel in the floor softly opens, like the chamber is rewarding your curiosity. You kneel and find a small device, smooth, obsidian-colored, and faintly warm to the touch. It's shaped like a teardrop, perfectly symmetrical, and when you turn it over in your palm, a pattern glows to life, spirals again. And beneath them, etched faintly, Mot 42. You say it out loud. The walls react. The star charts pause. The room dims slightly, just enough to spotlight one panel glowing brighter than the others. You walk over to it, the stone crunching softly under your boots. The panel displays an architectural schematic, not of the pyramid, not the Sphinx, of the planet. Your jaw slackens. Ley lines, those so-called mystical energy veins, are drawn crisply, wrapping around Earth like geometric spiderwebs. At each junction point, a marker. The Great Pyramid, Stonehenge, Teotihuacan, Angkor Wat, and more. Sites you've read about, all said to carry inexplicable energy or alignments. The fringe theory crowd, who you might now have to start inviting to dinner, believes these ley lines are more than myth, that they're part of a global energy grid established by ancient civilizations, or something older. That each megalithic site isn't a standalone wonder, but a node in a larger system. You touch the Great Pyramid on the glowing map. The panel zooms in, revealing subterranean chambers. Some you know, many you don't. including a spiral core far below what's ever been excavated. Then the sphere at the center of the room pulses louder, faster. The hum sinks to your heartbeat. Your fingertips tingle. And then new symbols begin to scroll, slowly like a story told in pieces. You recognize none of the script, but you feel it. It's history, not from a culture, from a species. A sequence of images appears. A lush earth, pyramids glowing, people gathered under the stars. Then, flood, fire, ice, collapse, silence, then rebirth. The implication is crushing. Whatever created this network, these monuments, these star maps, knew destruction would come. They planned for it, left behind beacons, not warnings, not defenses, instructions. You reach toward the orb again. It flickers with a different tone, high, lyrical. The sound isn't random. You fumble through your notebook, flipping to the page where you wrote down the pulsing pattern from the underground machine beneath the pyramid. You compare them side by side. The pattern's the same. 3 long pulses, pause, 5 short, then 2 longer again. It's the same code. You murmur the words again from the tablet, awaken with frequency. And in that moment, your body doesn't move, but your mind drops into place. You see it now? The pyramid above isn't the source, it's the conductor. The sphere underground is the instrument. And this place, this chamber under the Sphinx, is the tuner, the gateway. You look around. The glowing projections have shifted again. Now they show a shaft leading even deeper, beneath this room, beneath the complex, beneath everything. A new door opens behind the pedestal, not stone this time, metal brushed smooth with no handle, but the spiral is engraved into its surface. You walk toward it. The orb dims behind you as if it knows you've moved past the lesson. Beyond the door is another staircase, much older. The air smells different, wet stone, copper, and something faintly floral, like petrichor mixed with ancient incense. As you descend, the steps echo like slow heartbeats. The walls glow faintly with lines, pale blue channels that resemble neural pathways or circuit diagrams. Everything curves. Nothing is right-angled. This is not Egyptian design. It's organic, almost alien. At the bottom of the staircase is a vault, not large, not ceremonial, just quiet, inside a pedestal, this time empty. But beside it, carved into a crystalline wall, is a scene. The earth, again, but fractured. Lines cut across the continents, faults, destruction, or timelines. You reach out to touch one, and a final phrase flashes into light on the floor at your feet. When the sky aligns, the vault will open. You must remember. You step back. A cold shiver passes through you. This isn't just about maps, or pyramids, or even ancient machines. This is about memory, not of your own, but of humanity's, and something buried within it, waiting to be recalled. You don't remember climbing back out. You're not sure when the wall stopped glowing or when the vault door resealed itself behind you. All you know is that the light has changed again, softer now. Sunset has begun to bleed across the horizon, casting long, golden shadows from the pyramids and painting the Sphinx in a warm, impossible light. It looks less like a statue and more like a sentinel. You sit down at its paw. There's something reverent about the position, not in worship, but in recognition. Like two beings sharing a long overdue conversation without words. Your fingers reflexively trace the lines of the tablet still in your lap. The spirals, the star maps, the name Mayat 42, which now feels less like a code and more like a title. Or a system, a designation left behind not to impress, but to prepare. And now, you're prepared for what comes next. You turn your eyes back to the map you've been unfolding in pieces ever since you arrived. And for the first time, you notice a curve you hadn't seen before. A faint arc connecting the Sphinx to the Great Pyramid, looping around the entire Giza Plateau. It's not a straight path, it's a spiral, of course it is. You look up, heart quickening. The spiral pattern, it's been everywhere. On the tablet, in the underground chambers, beneath the water, carved into stone and implied in vibration. You suddenly recall that fringe claim from a little-known theory passed around by rogue engineers and armchair physicists alike, that the Earth has energy nodes and that the Giza Plateau sits on one of the most potent. The theory goes that ancient builders understood these nodes and harnessed them using harmonic frequencies. like tuning forks placed at specific points to resonate with the planet itself. Historians still argue whether these so-called nodes have any scientific validity or if they're just modern spiritual wish casting. But after what you've seen, it's hard to dismiss anything. You take out your compass, mostly out of habit. It twitches. You frown and tap it. The needle spins, slowly at first, then faster, around and around like a dizzy ballerina. You hold it near the stone base of the Sphinx. Same thing. You move it toward the buried chamber you climbed from earlier. It stabilizes for just a moment. Then it swings again. Magnetism, a lot of it, moving, shifting, like there's an active magnetic field under the Giza plateau. And not just from iron ore or geological quirks. This feels calibrated. You've heard stories, mostly whispers, of instruments malfunctioning near the pyramids. Compasses reversing, batteries draining faster, strange hums caught on recording devices. Most are dismissed, but that's before anyone thought to connect it with activation, before anyone found the map, and now everything feels like a system booting up after a very long nap. You dig into your notes, trying to remember something you saw in the underground machine's chamber. Those copper pipes, the polished granite, the limestone casings, and you realize something that slams into your brain like a gong. Each of those materials has a role in energy manipulation. Limestone is a natural insulator. Granite full of quartz can hold and transfer vibrational energy. And the copper? That's the conduit. The pyramid isn't just stone. It's an electromagnetic structure. It's the world's oldest machine, and it may not be dormant much longer. You scramble to your feet, the realization making your breath quicken. The map, the hums, the shifting magnetic fields, they all point to the same thing. The Sphinx and the pyramid are not separate. They are two halves of a mechanism, and you've just reconnected them. You remember something from the blue sphere beneath the Sphinx, those lines of light that mapped planetary alignments, the cycles. Maybe this entire system only activates at specific intervals, when Earth, Orion, and Sirius all align in just the right configuration. And guess what? One such alignment is due soon. That's why the hum is returning. That's why the compass spins. You turn toward the Sphinx again. Its face is still worn, but you swear something behind its eyes has shifted, like the gears of memory turning. You walk back toward the pyramid, retracing your steps with new intent. The sun is nearly down now. The golden hour has melted into twilight, and the stars begin to blink into view overhead. You spot Orion immediately. There he is, your old guide, and just below his belt, the pyramids perfectly aligned once again. After thousands of years, it's all happening again. Just as the chamber warned, when the sky aligns, the vault will open. You reach the pyramid's northern face, breath hitching, heart racing. The entrance you previously avoided, the one closed to tourists, now feels different, not forbidden, inviting. You press your hand to the stone, hoping for something absurd. A rumble, a click, a light. Instead, silence. But that's okay, because you know where to go. Not into the pyramid, beneath it. You return to the chamber you accessed earlier, using the spiral-marked shaft, the sand still brushed aside. You descend again, this time with purpose. You know the sequence. You know the frequency. You enter the obsidian machine room, and it hums louder than before. It recognizes you now. You step up to the pedestal. The same orb still hovers in silence, black and flawless. You lift the metal tablet, the one marked Mot 42, and hold it out. The orb lights up. It emits a pulse, deep, harmonic, vibrating your ribs like a slow drum. The room shifts subtly, almost like the pressure changes. You feel it in your teeth. Then you hear something new. Not just a hum, but a voice. Not English, not Egyptian, not words. Just tones, harmonized, sung. You don't understand them, but you know what they mean. Welcome. The wordless greeting hangs in the air like fog, warm, resonant, and somehow older than language. You close your eyes as the tones sink into your skin. They're not loud, not even musical, just perfectly shaped vibrations. And yet your brain hears them as intent. Welcome, recognize, connected. The orb pulses again, and this time, lines of golden light ripple across the room like veins, stretching out from the floating sphere, crawling along the walls, winding through the engraved spirals, and disappearing into seams you hadn't noticed before. The machine responds not with movement, but with awakening. It's as if it was never broken, just waiting for the correct signal. You take a cautious step back, not out of fear, but reverence. You've seen monuments. You've seen temples. But this feels like architecture for consciousness. Like you're standing inside the motherboard of an ancient intelligence. Your fingers still grip the tablet marked Mat 42, which now glows softly in your hand. When you flip it over, the etched spiral on the back pulses in sync with the orb. A perfect match. Confirmation. Then without warning, the orb descends slightly, hovering now just above the pedestal. Its surface shifts, liquid, reflective, becoming not just a source of light but a lens. Within it, an image forms. A planet Earth, but not now. You see oceans where deserts are now, ice caps stretching far beyond their modern borders. Lush green flooding the Sahara. Then the image zooms in. Giza, but without any pyramids. Just a ridge, a forested one. And then, as if watching time lapse and fast forward, the forest recedes. Stone quarries open, blocks rise and the pyramids grow. Block by block, glowing softly as they take shape. Not built by slaves, not built in haste, constructed with purpose. You watch as the Great Pyramid forms with mathematical elegance, while the Sphinx is already there, older, more eroded. Even in this flashback, the machine is telling you what you already suspected. The Sphinx came first. Historians still argue whether the Sphinx predates the pyramids. Traditional Egyptology says it was built under Khafre's rule, around 2500 BCE, but erosion patterns, alignment discrepancies, and now this vision suggests a deeper timeline, perhaps as far back as 10,500 BCE or earlier. The orb flashes again. Now you see three dots, Orion's belt. Then you see them mirrored on Earth. Giza, Teotihuacan. A third point blinks. China's mysterious white pyramid. The map expands. Peru, Turkey, Cambodia, Bosnia. Global. Impossible. But there it is. Each pyramid placed not for ceremony or burial, but as antennae. Parts of a planetary resonance network. Nodes on Earth's forgotten operating system. The orb spins slowly. Next come diagrams. Some you recognize. Sound wave patterns, cymatic structures, frequency modulation. Others make no sense at all. Rotating tesseracts, dimensional matrices. You stare until your eyes blur, your brain somewhere between fascination and shutdown. Then one symbol repeats again and again, the spiral. It appears over images of solar flares, black holes, DNA strands, ancient carvings. This isn't just decoration, it's instruction. You recall the legend of Thoth, the Egyptian god of knowledge, said to have hidden his greatest wisdom not in scrolls, but in symbols, ones that could only be understood when felt, not read. Perhaps this is what he meant, not wisdom on a page, but resonance etched in form. The orb pulses again, twice now, and then projects something stranger. You, standing before it. But not now, not here. You're in another room, a different chamber, larger, circular, with rings of light overhead and a spiral staircase leading upward. It's underground, and you know exactly where it is. Beneath the White Pyramid in China. The screen fades. That's your next destination. You stagger slightly, dizzy from the implication. The idea that this machine just handed you a galactic transfer request is a lot. You sit on the stone floor, taking in shallow breaths, remembering how much you used to laugh at people who believe stuff like this. Maybe even rolled your eyes at documentaries that went too far into ancient astronaut territory. But here in this humming chamber beneath the oldest structures on Earth, there's no denying it anymore. This isn't fantasy. It's a system reboot. You look around one more time, then up at the floating orb. Why now, you whisper. And the orb answers, not in words, but in a final image. The Earth again. But this time it's different. A solar flare races toward it, bright, beautiful, lethal. You watch communication networks blink out, power grids stutter, skies shimmer with magnetic fire. Then you see something stranger. The pyramids activating, glowing, and stabilizing the chaos. You don't know how or why or even when, but the machine is clear. The pyramids weren't built to glorify the dead. They were built to protect the living. You stumble back to the tunnel, every breath feeling like a countdown now. And just as you cross the threshold, the orb dims and the humming slows. Not off, just sleeping again, until the next time. You emerge once more into the desert night, where the stars above feel closer than ever. The Sphinx watches you, eternal. And in your hand, the map still pulses with light. You step into the open night, the desert air now cool enough to sting your sun-dried skin. The stars above are impossibly clear, Orion perched high, belt shimmering like jeweled breadcrumbs in a cosmic trail. But you don't look at the stars the same way anymore. They're not distant, they're coordinates, reminders. You've seen their reflection in ancient stone, in circuits made of limestone and copper, and in a floating orb that spoke without speaking. You glance down at the tablet still pulsing faintly in your hand. The rhythm hasn't changed. It's steady, like a heartbeat or a countdown. You sit on a stone near the pyramid's base, your legs finally giving in. From here, the giant monument doesn't feel immovable. It feels alive, like a dormant beast resting beneath the sky, waiting for someone to whisper the right frequency into its bones. And that whisper, it seems, might come from you. You pull your compass again. Not for direction, you already know where you are, but to confirm the impossible. And sure enough, the needle spins. It's not broken, not jammed. It's responding. You walk a few paces away. The needle stabilizes. North is north, south is south. Then you step back toward the pyramid. Spin. This isn't a glitch. It's a magnetic bubble surrounding the pyramid, and it's pulsing now, with the same rhythm as the orb, as the machine, as the tablet. You remember reading about strange magnetic anomalies at Giza, rarely discussed in academic circles, but documented in fringe reports. One experiment noted compass readings warping near the king's chamber. Another claimed the pyramid's electromagnetic field spiked during solar storms. Historians still argue whether these readings are meaningful or just natural quirks. But you're past arguing. You're living in the evidence. The pyramid is magnetized, alive. You kneel and press your hand to the stone. It's warm. At night. You tilt your head, listening. That low hum, the one you first heard on your arrival, it's louder now. Or maybe clearer, like a guitar string finely tuned to the right pitch. And then you remember something from the underground chamber. The copper-lined tunnels, the quartz-rich granite, the resonance patterns. It all comes together in one terrifying, exhilarating thought. The pyramid is a tuning fork. The earth vibrates. Solar energy pulses through the magnetic field, and the pyramid responds. Not by accident, not symbolically, but by design. And what if the pyramid isn't just responding? What if it's generating? You recall the theories, wild, derided ones, about ancient energy sources, the Great Pyramid as a power plant, using water channels to generate resonant electricity, vibrating granite, piezoelectric discharge, scalar fields, Tesla coils. It all sounded absurd. Until tonight. Until now. You pull out a small tuning fork from your bag. Don't laugh. It's from a travel sound kit you got on clearance last Christmas. You strike it gently and hold it near the stone. You expect nothing. Instead, you hear a response. A low pulsing tone that matches the fork's pitch. Only deeper, like a subharmonic echo from within the pyramid itself. You stare at the tuning fork, then at the stone, then at the sky, and you realize the pyramid isn't just singing back. It's awake. You back away slowly, brain racing. If this is happening here, it could be happening at other nodes too. Pyramids across the planet, all aligned to star maps, all built with materials tuned to Earth's frequency. Suddenly, the idea of global pyramid sites being unconnected seems laughable. You remember a few. Teotihuacan in Mexico, aligned with the Pleiades. Some, the Nubian pyramids in Sudan, echoing the same architectural principles. Nara, the White Pyramid of Xi'an, buried under a cloak of secrecy in China. The pyramid complex in Bosnia, hotly contested, yet suspiciously aligned to solstices and cardinal directions. Each sits on or near known ley lines. Each contains stone with high quartz content. And each, if the theory holds, could be a node in a global energy web. You flip over the tablet and press lightly on the spiral. A new projection blooms upward, this time a three-dimensional grid overlaying Earth. Lines interconnect the pyramids, forming a lattice. You recognize places, patterns, and then you notice something even stranger. The gaps, points on the Earth where no pyramids exist now, but once did. Markers erased by time, tectonics, or conquest. Some are underwater, others lie beneath jungles. One blinks from Antarctica. And they all follow the same spiral pattern. You stare, mouth dry, heart loud. This isn't random. It's architecture on a planetary scale. You sit heavily on the stone again, cradling the tablet. The magnetic anomaly continues to tick faintly around you. The hum persists. And somewhere deep below, the machine still listens. You realize now this isn't a map to treasure, not a key to immortality or a chamber of gold. This is a user manual for Earth, left behind by someone or something that understood how to tune a planet like an instrument, to harmonize with the cosmos, to prepare for something. And as you watch the stars wheel silently above, the full weight of it lands like thunder in your chest. The pyramids weren't built to remember the past. They were built to survive the future. Night deepens like ink spilled across the desert. The stars no longer twinkle, they stare. And you stare right back, pulse thumping in rhythm with the quiet, patient hum emanating from under the earth. The Giza plateau feels suspended now, like a single note held too long in a cosmic song. You sit motionless at the edge of the pyramid's shadow, the tablet's spiral still pulsing gently in your palm. Above you, Orion tilts westward. Time is moving. You check your phone, 5% battery. Doesn't matter anymore. It's a flashlight now, a clock maybe, but not a compass. Because every compass in this place has been replaced by something much older. You've become the needle. You stand and begin walking, tracing the spiral marked on your map. Not metaphorically, but physically. Each step corresponds to a point, a pattern you hadn't seen before, but now feels obvious. The map doesn't show a treasure location. It shows a sequence, a circuit. You reach the first point, near the pyramid's northeast corner, and pause. A soft vibration under your boot. You kneel, press your hand to the ground. The hum rises a little. Not louder, just closer. The second point is near the midpoint of the eastern face. Again, the vibration. Stronger this time. Your map vibrates slightly too. Not from wind, from resonance. At the third point near the southeastern corner, something different happens. Your tablet glows brighter. A projection bursts forth. Not just light, but form. A wireframe version of the pyramid shimmers in the air before you, rotating slowly. Inside it, energy lines animate in real time, moving like currents in an invisible machine. You're not activating a thing. You're completing it. Historians still argue whether the pyramid's internal chambers serve any function beyond burial. But the truth is, they don't make sense as a tomb. The ascending passageways, the ventilation shafts aligned to stars, the unexplained granite coffer in the king's chamber, none of it follows funerary logic. Because it wasn't designed for death, it was engineered for function. And right now it's starting to function again. You reach the fourth point, northwest quadrant. The tablet chimes. And this time, a voice comes through. Not in language, but emotion. It washes through you like waves. Understanding without vocabulary. It tells you things you don't know how to repeat, but feel. You're a part of the system now. You've been authenticated. The final point takes you to the very center of the plateau, marked only by a nearly invisible impression in the ground. You kneel and place the tablet down. The spiral on its surface begins to spin. And then, with a whisper like silk tearing in slow motion, something stirs beneath the sand. Stone shifts. Air rushes. A new shaft opens. Not down, but across. Horizontal. Leading straight beneath the pyramid. You duck in, heart in your throat. Mind long past ready for answers. The tunnel is narrow but clean. Lined with smooth slabs etched with micro-carvings too intricate to be human. The light from your tablet reflects off them like circuitry. You run your fingers along the wall and feel the texture change as you pass. Rough, then smooth, then humming. Then open, a chamber, perfectly circular, domed like a satellite dish, with a floor of dark polished stone that reflects the sky overhead even though there's no visible opening. The ceiling is painted, not in pigment, but with glowing constellations. All of them correct, all of them moving. In the center of the room, a pedestal. Upon it, a second sphere. Not black like the first, not blue like the one beneath the Sphinx. This one is clear. You step forward. As you draw near, the sphere lights up inside, like a star being born. A soft spiral of energy unfurls within, rotating slowly. It scans you. You feel it more than see it. And then, it speaks. But not with sound, with memory. You see flashes, not of your life, of someone else's. Builders moving enormous stone blocks without cranes, not with magic, with frequency. Vibrations that made rock lighter. Tools that didn't cut but resonated. Workers moving in time with sound. Songs that powered structure. You see the earth, lush, thriving, ancient. Then you see water rising, skies darkening. A storm not of clouds but of space. Solar waves crashing into magnetic fields. Then you see pyramids glowing. Not burning, responding. The system activating. The network holding. And you understand, the pyramids weren't meant to outlast time. They were meant to withstand catastrophe. Each one a stabilizer, a resonance anchor, a harmonic amplifier meant to sync Earth's frequencies when thrown off balance. Not every disaster is geological. Some come from the sky. The projections fade, the sphere dims. And then it shows one more image. Now, a line of planets, Orion's belt, Earth, the Sun. The same alignment as in 10,500 BCE is coming again. Soon. That's why you're here. Not to explore the past, to activate the present, to prepare the planet. You walk toward the sphere and place your hand on it. It warms beneath your touch. Then a second set of spirals lights up beneath your feet, circling outward across the room, across the plateau, across the world. You triggered the sequence. You're not a tourist. You're the signal. The stone beneath your feet vibrates in gentle pulses, each one like a heartbeat too vast to belong to any single living thing. You stand in the center of the chamber, hand on the crystal sphere, the spiral of light stretching out from your position like glowing ripples in the surface of time. Around you, the constellations rotate overhead, tracking the stars as they slowly align into the configuration this whole system seems built to recognize, a memory of the cosmos repeating itself. The clear orb flickers softly beneath your palm, and for the first time since you arrived, it speaks in actual words, but not in your language, not in any human language. Still, you understand. The window returns, the balance awaits. The anchor must sing. You close your eyes. The hum is now part of your body, coursing through your ribs, humming behind your teeth, nested in your bones like it was always meant to be there. You look around the chamber one more time. The pyramid above isn't pressing down on you like a tombstone. It's floating above you like an antenna, receiving and transmitting. Each layer, each passage, each carefully carved stone, vibrating in sympathy. This isn't just resonance. It's orchestration, and you've just struck the first chord. The orb dims again, as if its message has been delivered, and the floor spirals slowly in reverse, the light retreating back into the tablet, now resting on your forearm like it belongs there. You back away from the pedestal, your breath shaky but steady. Behind you, the tunnel you entered from glows faintly, guiding you out like a neural signal, heading back to the spine. You walk slowly like you're leaving a temple or a cockpit. The surface welcomes you with silence. The stars are brighter now. And there's a new sound in the air, a deep, distant rumble, barely audible. Not thunder, not machines. Something natural, like a shifting continent, like the earth itself is stretching. You glance at the Great Pyramid and find your compass once more. The needle isn't spinning anymore. It's still, perfectly aligned with true north. Even the scientists who acknowledge the pyramid's orientation call it freakishly accurate, built to within 3/60ths of a degree. But now it's beyond accurate. It's exact. The planet's own magnetic field seems to have snapped back into calibration. You don't know what it means yet, but something clicked. The driver who brought you here stands by the Jeep now, arms crossed, eyes hidden beneath his keffiyeh. He doesn't look surprised. You wonder if he's always known something like this would happen. As you approach, he nods toward the horizon. Sun'll be up soon, he says, voice dry as the wind. You'll want to be on the road before the others wake up. You pause, and did you hear it? You ask. He smiles slightly. Didn't have to. Been waiting my whole life to feel it. You say nothing? There's nothing to say, not yet. You climb into the Jeep. The engine rumbles to life. You glance one more time at the Sphinx. Its face is unreadable, but the wind moves differently now. It feels aligned. As the vehicle pulls away from the plateau, you look down at the tablet in your lap. The spiral on its surface is no longer glowing. But you don't think it's finished. You think it's charging. And when the stars finish shifting back into place, when the next cosmic alignment hits full resonance, you'll be somewhere else. Maybe in China, maybe in Peru, or maybe right back here. But you'll be ready. Because now you know what the pyramids really are. And more importantly, you know what you are. The Jeep hums down the dusty road, each jolt of the wheels a little softer now, like the desert is letting you go gently. The sun begins to crest over the dunes, bathing the land in gold so pure it doesn't look real. You lean back in your seat, eyes half-lidded, letting the warm light roll over you like a blanket freshly pulled from the dryer. The tablet rests quietly on your chest, still, sleeping, but somehow watching. The Great Pyramid fades into the distance in the rearview mirror, but you know it hasn't stopped humming. It's still there, stone bones and all, watching the sky just like it has for thousands of years, waiting for the next pulse, the next chord in the song of the earth. And you? You're part of it now. The sand no longer feels like emptiness. The stars are no longer just decoration. The hum is no longer strange. You've heard the pyramid song. You've touched its memory. And wherever you go next, it hums with you. You drift towards sleep as the miles slide past, your thoughts a quiet echo of ancient rhythms. The breeze kisses your cheeks. The light flickers gently across your closed eyes. You are safe. You are aligned. And somewhere, beneath stone and sky, the earth turns slowly, waiting for your next whisper.